All right, so let's jump into it this morning. So I created this channel because I really wanted to tackle culture war issues, and I wanted to look at and read more of everything that's just going on, and just slow down and actually read what's happening. And as part of that, I've been reading lots of different news sources, and for the last week or so, I've pretty much been reading the Post Millennial and Daily Wire and maybe Epic Times and some other, conservative briefs, other conservative sources, and I really have been wanting to dive into. I've read some CNN articles, but I really wanted to dive into some other leftist stuff. I've read Jacobian before on here, and so let's dive into an MSNBC article. And this is an opinion piece. They do accurately call it an opinion piece, so I suppose that's a good thing. And it says, MAGA's hottest club is a House Oversight Committee. Republicans don't expect to get much done these next 2 years in Congress, except investigating Joe Biden, that is. So it's kind of silly. There's probably some truth to that, right? In that Republicans don't have a large enough majority to do a ton, but they are going to have some power to do some different things. And let's see what they say here. The battle to install Kevin McCarthy, Republican California, as Speaker has set the House weeks behind schedule. It was like 5 days, right? And if you listen to like Matt Gaetz or Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever, they have they take like a 6-week vacation in the summer, something like that, and they're constantly on vacation. Is ridiculous. This is an absurd statement here that has no basis in reality. All right. One of the delayed tasks has been finalizing committee assignments, a complicated puzzle that even in the best of times. A complicated puzzle even in the best of times. This week, Republicans announced that their roster for the powerful House Oversight Committee, and what a doozy it is. Okay. Under leadership of Chairman Jim Comer, Republican Kentucky, the committee has been packed to the brim with some of the loudest and most diehard members of the caucus's MAGA wing. It's a veritable rogues gallery. Oh man. So the language here, unlike Daily Wire, unlike a lot of the conservative content, is it's super with MSNBC in this article, they're telling you how to feel about things, right? Like the language they use is giving you your emotional reaction to it for you. Like it's designed, it's part of the article. It's a veritable rogues gallery of camera-ready firebrands, all eager for a chance to be front and center during the looming high-profile clashes with the Biden administration. Okay. In a Congress that is, by any measure, poised to be a three-ring circus, the clowns of the Oversight Committee are ready to compete for the spotlight. These people don't drink enough coffee. That's my conclusion. Just kidding. All right. In theory, the committee, which Republicans have now named the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Okay, all right, so this is like a parenthetical statement here, is an important gig that speaks to the balance of powers in our system. Okay. Most of the other House committees operate on mini fiefdoms. Well, there's probably a truth to that. I mean, okay, that doesn't sound crazy. Focused on smaller swatches of the executive branch. The Oversight Committee's remit, though, the Oversight Committee's remit, though, is the entirety of the federal government, and the committee acts as a primary investigative arm of the House. Okay. So their complaint so far, as I understand it, is Democrats no longer have leadership and they no longer have control of this committee. Wham. That's what I'm reading so far here. Wham. We no longer control this committee. Wham. That's not fair. That means the committee can take an overarching view, connect the dots, and follow lines of inquiry that other committees seeking out corruption and waste cannot. And given the explosive and controversial nature of some of its investigations, committee members are primed for prime time, with many of them more than willing to spend their evenings telling Fox News viewers about the scandal du jour. Okay. In what ways is this different than when the Democrats were running it? In what way? Only they were telling MSNBC the scandal du jour. And that's a big problem, right? You know, members, when Democrats take power, they change the rules and leverage those new rules against the Republicans, but then Republicans take back power and then they leverage those same rules against Democrats. And they keep doing this to each other, right? Then Republicans will change rules to give them more power, and then the Democrats take back power and then use that new power against the Republicans. It's insane, like the back and forth that goes on. Among the 17 Republicans who will be perched on the Oversight Committee alongside Comer are Arizona's Paul Gosar and Pennsylvania's Scott Perry, two of the most fervent advocates for former President Donald Trump's 2020 election conspiracy lies. Ugh, gosh, Trump is never not on their lips, is he? There's also newly minted frenemies Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia and Lauren Boebert of Colorado. So Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert are frenemies. Okay. Two far-right darlings and media hounds. And let's not forget Anna Paulina Luna. I like her. I really like following her on Twitter. If you don't follow her on Twitter, she says a lot of fun stuff. And Byron Donalds of Florida, who were members of the GOP insurgency that kept McCarthy out of the speakership for days, which was awesome, by the way. And the reality is MSNBC and other leftist publications they're angry at the squad for not doing this to Pelosi in 2020, right? The AOC and the squad don't actually have backbones and didn't actually stand up to Nancy. And then you get these people, Anna Paulina Luna, Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene did not participate in that. And so this almost is a little bit confusing, right? Because she had already made some deal with McCarthy to get on committees, which Nancy Pelosi had removed her from. And so she had already given her support to McCarthy to get on those committees so that she could actually do work in Congress. And, okay, let's see, where were we? So earlier they say they're weeks behind schedule, but now they acknowledge that they're only kept that they delayed McCarthy by days. Okay. These are not McCarthy's favorite people, but making room for them on the committee was apparently one of the concessions he was willing to make to get the speaker's gavel. Awesome. A seat on the Oversight Committee wasn't always such a plum position. A spot on the House Appropriations Committee, for example, used to be considered much more lucrative and prestigious, given the donors who care very much about how their tax dollars are doled out. Given the donors who care, okay. And the donors, okay. So was a seat on the Ways and Means, the committee that oversees the tax code. We always treated it as a dumping ground for our less serious members, Brendan Buck, a former senior advisor to the prior two GOP speakers, said of the Oversight Committee to the New York Times. Republicans have long treated oversight as a land of misfit toys. Well, that's interesting. I have thoughts on that. You know, like these people who are doing this, the Freedom Caucus, a so-called Freedom Caucus. They want serious governmental change. They want serious governmental reform, and the old Republican Guard is as trash as the new Democrats, right? They were the party of big business, and now the Democrats are just as monopolized by big tech and big business, and they're pushing for wild, ridiculous nonsense. And MSNBC is acting as a propaganda arm for them. So it's no wonder that they're going to make fun of people wanting reform. It was under a previous Republican-led House, though, that what was then called the House Committee on Government Reform began to take its current place in the congressional pecking order. During the Clinton administration's second term, the GOP opted to grant the committee's chair the power to unilaterally issue subpoenas. Okay. According to a count conducted by Democrats, that new power resulted in an avalanche of over 1,000 subpoenas to Clinton officials and Democrats more broadly. Republicans had the same power when George W. Bush took office, and to nobody's surprise, during his first term, that power of theirs lay mostly dormant. Again, they keep doing this to each other, right? One group will add some power somewhere and utilize it to attack the other, and then the next group comes to power because that's what keeps happening. They just go back and forth, and they use it to attack back, right? I mean, that's what just keeps happening. All right. Republican Congresses tend to over-investigate Democratic administrations and under-investigate their own. Then, okay. Then Chair Tom Davis, Republican Virginia, told the Washington Post. In 2005, a year during which Bush was under fire for failures surrounding his government's response to Hurricane Katrina and his prosecution of the Iraq War. Prosecution of the Iraq War. Okay. His observation didn't exactly make a lasting impact, with the GOP shifting back into investigating overdrive during Barack Obama's time in the White House after recapturing the House in the midterms. Okay? They're conveniently not talking about how the Democrats do this to the Republicans, so when they get power, which is interesting. By then, the right-wing scandal industrial complex. Oh my gosh. Confession through projection, maybe? That's what it seems like to me here. Some confession through projection. With lurid investigations grabbing headlines in conservative media and airtime on Fox News, which in turn created the need to manufacture new crises to exploit. The Benghazi hearings, which served as the apex of this fervor, showcase the attention and donations. The GOP base was willing to give in the name of owning the libs. And they do it back, right? Like, it's so ridiculous. This is such a silly story because they try to own the cons all the time, right? Small wonder that the two most recent GOP oversight chairs resigned from the House and pursued media gigs. Jason Chaffetz is a Fox News contributor, hosts podcasts on Fox News Radio, and has guest hosted multiple shows on the network. Trey Gowdy hosts a show called Sunday Night in America, also on Fox News. And this is a major problem of not only conservatives. This is true in general of people who serve in the House. There's like a direct politician to news pundit pipeline on both sides. It's crazy. Republicans have already made clear that feeding the cycle is their top priority in the next 2 years. Little focus has been placed on any legislative goals. I 100% disagree with that, right? I mean, that was a bunch of the concessions that got out of McCarthy. A bunch of legislative goals. A bunch of legislative concessions. Not with Democrats holding the Senate and White House and most Republicans treating compromise as a dirty word. Everyone treats compromise as a dirty word. It's all, on both sides, it's my way or the highway. The certainty that they'll get attention for what they consider holding President Joe Biden's feet to the fire has made the Oversight Committee the top ticket for many MAGA members. Comer has already promised hearings into Biden and his family businesses. That's a good thing, right? I mean, leftist journals, wasn't it the New York Times that called it Biden, something about the Biden Inc., Biden Crime Inc., or something like that? The discovery of classified documents from Biden's time as vice president and the administration's border policy, and promises even more to come. Okay. That's going to mean ample time for Green, Gosar, and the rest to showboat during hearings, parade conspiracy as truth, and rake in the adulation from MAGA base. Oh my gosh. The spectacle is certainly going to be dazzling, and Democrats are hoping the Republicans will be too blinded by the lights to realize that their investigations are falling flat with regular Americans. You mean with MSNBC Americans. For now, though, the Oversight Committee is set to be loudest and least productive show in town, and it's clear that the majority... So this is all a bunch of ridiculous conjecture here. Who knows? There's a lot of people pushing for a church-style commission. Revolver had a really good article on it the other day about the absolute difficulty, in a church-style hearing that the conservatives are going to face if they do go forward with that plan. And, when doing a lot of these things, investigating government corruption, if they don't have money to actually do the investigation, and they do this whole show thing, my real concern is that they'll find nothing because they didn't have any money or resources to find anything, and then later people will be like, we already investigated that, it's nothing story. And it's just, there's so many problems. And this is, MSNBC is hot garbage. They this was all confession through projection, because they don't acknowledge their own side doing the exact same thing back. It's all clapback, and it's been like that for years. It's a huge problem in American politics, and it needs to be addressed in some kind of real way. Anyways, this is Paul. Thank you for joining me. If you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe below. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. How can I improve? And thank you for joining me. Hope you all have a great day.